Okay, welcome to One Stop Co-op Shop. This is Steve here,
Yes,
Barrett.
yes, Steve, we're here. We're here for One Stop Co-op Shop Co-op Chat. This is our morning chat that we do every Saturday. We sadly are not without Kanji, but he is in the chat with us. Kanji, it's good to see you, and all the rest of you. Snow is here as well, as long as and Ryan, and it's amazing to have all of you here. Kanji had the option to join us, but we're kind of talking about what we did a couple weeks ago, so he wasn't part of that. Sadly, maybe next year he will be. I don't know. Wow.
We
We have to
cannot dodge.
do that legend Lord of the Rings con, but Steve and I went to Lord of the Rings, and it wasn't the show, was it, Steve?
No, it wasn't the show. It was Con of the Rings, which is a community-hosted convention focusing on the Lord of the Rings living card game. And so
Yep.
it was like 3 days of playing that game, and it's a lot of fun. But so we're going to talk about that convention, how that went, and also talk about all the other antics and games we played in addition to that. So if you're not interested in Lord of the Rings, don't worry. We'll talk about other stuff as well. If you're here for Lord of the Rings, we'll talk about that. You came to the right spot. So
The antics.
all the antics. So let's start off because it was a fun time.
Let's start off. What happened, Steve? Did you land? Did you land the plane land?
Yeah, so I'll put this picture up because this was the first day, which is kind of fun. We had a lot of fun. So I flew to now this was in the Twin Cities at the what used to be called the Fantasy Flight Event Center, but it's called Games Center with a Z.
Yes.
So I fly into Twin Cities, and Bairnt was very gracious to like take off work, and so he's gonna come pick me up. So I'm like, hey, Bairnt, I landed. I'm ready to be picked up. He's like, cool. So you head my way, waiting for a bit.
I did.
And then I get a call like, hey, I'm here. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm looking around. I don't see Bairnt anywhere as I'm waiting, looking at all these cars driving by. And he's like, hey, I'm by what'd you say? You're by terminal.
Oh, I was at gate 8.
Gate 8, that's right, gate 8. And I'm looking around,
the last one, gate 8, like you said, come to the last one.
I'm looking around, I'm like, I only see gate 4. What's going on?
And then he said the magic words, I flew Delta.
I flew Delta. And so the funny thing about this is I sent my flight information to Bairnt, and it said Terminal 2 on there because in Raleigh, where I came from, I flew out of Terminal 2, but I arrived at Terminal 1 in Twin Cities. So Bairnt was at the completely wrong terminal. So
yes, I was.
So anyway, so he's like, okay, I'll be there. I'll drive over. So he drives over there. We find each other. He picks me up, and then you go and take it from here because why was that an issue?
Steve got to understand the power of electricity. Is what he got to understand. For those of you that don't know, I drive an electric car, and sometimes electric cars can't exactly get to and from a lot of places in one shot. And it can get to and from the airport with no problem. Sadly, I forgot to charge it the night before, but I still looked at it and went, I'll have enough to get to and from the airport, not to and from Terminal 2, then to Terminal 1, then back home. So we made it 95% of the way back home. And I thought, I don't want Steve to experience his first time in an electric car where the electric car doesn't actually make it home. So I made him stop at the Nissan dealership, and we did what's called a lightning charge, which somebody was using. So I was trying to find another charger, which on their building. And they said, like, oh, don't use this one. Use the one around the side. So I go around the side. Oh, there's somebody there. So I drive back, and then I drive back thinking maybe the guy's done with that charge. So we get out of sure enough he was. But then like the FedEx truck parked in front of it. I was like, he's not electric. Get out of the way. I got to get my car charged. All the while I'm thinking, wow, Steve really is going to want to get an electric car someday. That's definitely what to do. Then eventually I got my charger. We charged the car for about 10 minutes, and even 5 minutes, I don't even know. But then that was enough to get us home. And I probably did have enough to get us home, but I just didn't want to risk it. That was awesome. That was awesome.
So yeah, and Robin's here, of course. His wife was a nice person. She would let him take her car. So no, it's fine. It made for a really fun adventure story.
Steve made it home to my house safe and sound.
There are like 50 car chargers by my house that I've never seen anyone use ever. Oh man. Well, we could use one that morning.
House, I come to his house. That's the deal.
So, but yeah, so that was arriving the first day, and then Bairnt and I decided to play a game because I know Terrence wasn't gonna arrive until a little bit later, and
Yes.
so we played. Let me pull it up. We played
Boom,
Aliens.
boom. It's a fan
Another
favorite. Yeah.
day, glorious day in the
My,
core.
yeah.
And so this is, I mean, I feel like when I visit Bairnt, I have to play Aliens because it's Bairnt, right?
I should have worn my alien shirt today.
You should have. I thought you could say myth. Nice kanji. Nice.
Oh, now that I think about this, totally what I should have had you play. Darn it!
And yes,
Oh,
no, we're talking about all the games we played, not just Lord of the Rings. So yes. But yeah, this was
yes.
fun. I enjoyed it. I feel like the mission we played, it was pretty straightforward, I say, but I
Yeah.
think it was one of the earlier missions too, like more of
It's
a
the very
tutorial.
first mission you'd ever play. So I was like kind of doing a tutorial mission with him.
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's what I figured. I really liked how you had to when you fired, your accuracy meter went up, so it made it harder to hit later, or went down. Yeah, it went down. Sorry, other way around. So that was really cool, and I like the blips and stuff. So, but yeah, it was fun. Fun. I always like playing aliens with you, parents. So,
Mm, it's always fun.
so yeah, we did that. We played aliens, and then I think after this game is about time when Terrence arrived, right?
Yes, Terrence landed. We didn't know. Okay. So we thought Terrence might have a hotel. I don't know. Let's say near the convention center where we're going to be playing. Right? You logical. No, he was a good like 45 minutes away in Minneapolis. And so we said, "Hey, let's go out to dinner together, three of us," as you can see by our wonderful picture there. And my wife goes, "Oh, you're going to Shamrocks, which is like one of her favorite restaurants." And so we serve Juicy Lucy's there, which is like a burger with cheese like built into the burger, like in the middle of the burger is like this hollowed out part where you put cheese. It's really good. Um, and so I go, "I'll get you one from there, no problem. I'll bring it home. You can have it for dinner." Well, I texted her like at 6:30 because we left at like 4:45. Well, all this driving to get to Terrence and not with my electric car. My wife gave me her car this time. We picked him up, or we texted him on the way. It's like, "Where are you?" And then Steve's like, something about a Marriott in Minneapolis. I'm like, Minneapolis. Oh, so yeah, that was where the driving came in. So, I mean, long story short, we did pick him up. We went out. We had a great burger. We had some wonderful times. We chatted for a while. Drove him back home. Got home about what 8ish to my house, and my wife had already eaten dinner, so she saved it for tomorrow, the next day.
Oops. Sorry, Robin. That was
That
not
was not the
planned well,
plan.
but
That was not the plan.
yeah. And then did we play something that night? Or...
We sure did. Colin stopped by after that because Steve was going to stay with Colin that for the
That's right.
the
That's right.
weekend. But I picked him up. Colin still had to work that day, so Colin did come by about 8 o'clock with Paint the Roses, and he also came by with another game that we'll talk about in a little bit. But we played Paint the Roses, and Robin really wanted to try this one, so we cracked this one out, put it on the table, and it was super cool. Super cool.
Was this your first time playing it, Barrett?
It was. It was my first time playing it. I really enjoyed this game. It was really fun.
Cool. Yeah, this one is it's been one that hits this year for me. I love this game. Absolutely love it. And I've introduced a lot of different people and it's gone really well. So hey, Robin liked it. Great. I'm so happy. Super fun game. Yeah. Yeah, this game's awesome. It's very cognitive too, which is great. It feels different.
Yes, I think some of the cool things about this game is, like you're saying, it is fun and fully cooperative. It is almost the kind of, you could, like Steve was showing us, you can drop in and drop out technically in this game if you wanted to without too much repercussion to the game board, which is really cool. You also you can make the difficulty however you want it to be, which is, it's a very like, you can really build the game to be how you want it to be, which is really cool. It has a lot of different things you can do about it, and there's so many expansions you can add to it that we didn't even touch because we are just playing for the first time. But there's a lot going on in this game. Super fun. You are deducing what other people have in their hand by putting down tiles and seeing what clues they can give you based on the shapes and colors of those tiles as you paint the roses.
Right. Yep. All about trying to get people to guess your card by giving clues and trying to stay in front of the evil queen. So that's great.
Yes, who will chop you up.
Exactly. So yeah, we played that one. That was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
fun. We chose that one, and then after that, I know maybe some of us went to, headed off, and I think
Yes, it was on Thursday, so my wife still had to work the next day, so she went upstairs to bed, so she had to get up. So,
Right.
but Colin and I and Steve, we didn't have to work. We had a con to go to, so we stayed up and played Unsettled.
Mm-hmm. And this was a new world for all of us, actually, which was really cool. I can't
Yes,
remember the name of the world we played.
it was Ooga Booga. I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Ooga booga. But this one, not to get into too many spoilers, but like, we'll avoid some of it. But like, it had to do with like your mind is not your own. It kind of like was partitioned
Yeah,
with like the world around it. It was crystals or something. Um, yeah, and Kanji, we played Winora with it with Kanji when he was here. So I've played with Winora a few times. This is my first time playing this other one with the crystal, which is cool. Another world. It was cool. I liked it. We won. It was close, but I think we won this one. Yeah.
we did win. It was close. This is a game that was my most anticipated, not most anticipated. I put it on my list of top games last year of things I wish or something for, and something I wish that Colin would have gave it to me so I could play it. And he did, but I didn't get a chance. So I failed him miserably because he did let me borrow it at one point, and we didn't get a chance to play it because there was a lot going on. And then he took it back because he and Monica still play it quite a bit, and they really enjoy it. Um, this game is amazing. I like it because nothing's ever the same.
Yeah.
Um, all the different planets you play are so unique in what they do. I think that's something that is hard to find in a game. Very modular game as to what you want to do. The only problem I have with this game is after reading what happens on the planet, I understand their deal is they're supposed to trying to get back to like their area, like they got thrown off course through a wormhole or something. But I wouldn't step foot on any of those planets to save my life. Nothing ever good comes on these planets. And then once they get back to what they're supposed to be, they get back to the ship. They don't have anything. It's not like they gained anything being on these planets, right?
Right,
Except the
right.
fact that they're never going to go back to that planet because that was bad news city.
No,
But
very
that's
true. It's very much Lost in Space, the board
it
game,
is. It is
honestly.
very much like Lost in Space. Every time they land on a planet, it usually wasn't the best plan.
Exactly. He's like, oh, this will be fine. This is great. Nope, something bad's gonna happen. You just know it.
No, you know it. But that's a super fun game.
Oh yeah, we enjoyed that one. So we wrapped up that night with Unsettled, and then the next day, actually, I played a game with just Colin and I, which is fun. So before the convention started, we wound up playing Star Wars: The Clone Wars. So this is the new version of Pandemic, but Star Wars
Yep.
style. And it was a fast game because Colin and I played it. I think it took us only 40 minutes to play, something like that, 45 minutes. It's really, really fast. And that was including the teach as well. Um, I liked it. I'm not enthralled by it, to be honest. It's pretty basic. It has nice improvements to like adjustments to the pandemic system, but I'm okay passing this one, unfortunately. Uh, it the cool thing about it is you get to like build out a tableau of cards and you exhaust them to do additional bonuses or abilities to your normal actions in the game. And I like how there's different bosses to fight, and some missions to do too, which is really cool. But did it feel like Star Wars or random colored circles on the board? More towards the latter. Honestly, he's like, "Where's this planet?" Here apparently. Like they could have done. I talked about this on their Discord. Like it would have been cool if they would have like organized them. Like you keep them like laid out this way. That's fine. But like here's the outer rim planets. Here's the I don't know.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I can see that.
whatever. Give them regions. But yeah, not a huge deal there either. But yeah, it's fine. I think this would be really fun if you had like young kids who like Star Wars a lot. Like my son, he hasn't watched much Star Wars. But I can see him really enjoying this one. Run around destroying droids and take out the big bad boss.
Yeah, this is Colin let me borrow this after this weekend, and this is going to be fan favorite of Ridley. Ridley's a huge fan of Star Wars.
Nice.
He's my oldest, and he also, the Clone Wars era is like his favorite part of Star Wars. General Grievous is one of his favorite people of all time. He knows everything about these. He beat me in Star Wars trivia when he was, I think, 6 or 7, somewhere in there, and I couldn't. At that point, I was like, really? And I love, because I had this Star Wars trivia game and we were playing, and like for the final question, it was like this starting to draw this like person on the board. It was a believe it or not, Star Trek or Star Wars trivia and DVD or something, like a DVD you'd stick in your DVD drive. Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
old this is. And we were playing the game. And at the end, the final question was like, now I know the answer, but the final question was, he's starting to draw this like creature. And it's like, who is this? And it started drawing it. And I think it had like 3 pen strokes. And all of a sudden my kid goes, I know who that is. I'm like, sure you do. Like, whatever. You don't know who that guy is. That's Kid Fisto. I'm like, what's a Kid Fisto? And then sure enough, it keeps drawing and all of a sudden, boom, it's Kid Fisto. I was like, how do you know who Kid Fisto is? And yep, he knew who all these Jedi were. And at that point, I realized he's going to know more about Star Wars than I ever will. And still,
That's amazing. That's amazing.
and I feel like I know a lot about Star Wars. I almost felt like a very proud dad that day, because I had instilled in him the awesomeness that was Star Wars back when he was in kindergarten, and it has yet to leave. He is still Star Wars all the way. He and Marvel, all the cool things that kids do nowadays.
Of course.
So again, here I am rambling. He loves the game. I'm really glad Collins let me borrow it. We had a lot of fun playing it once already. We're actually probably gonna play it again today, just because it's so much fun. I might have him do a playthrough with me on this one. We'll see if he's interested in doing that.
Cool. Snow has a request, now that you brought it up, but who's Kid Fisto?
Who's Kid Fisto? In Star Wars lore, he is a Jedi who has kind of that green, like tentacle hair coming off him. I think he's not a Twi'lek or Twi'lek, I think is the name of that race, but he's something like that. And he's kind of got more of a what do you call it? A squid looking type
head.
He's
got more tendrils than just the 2, right?
Yeah. That's Kid Fisto. And now you know, and knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe.
Bringing all the IPs in this show.
That's right. It is all 80s all the time.
That's right. Okay, cool. So we played that.
Watch out, Steve. I'm gonna start cracking out the He-Man and She-Ra stuff next.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So after that, we decided to actually go to the con. So we swung by, and I think we picked you up, Bairnt, right?
Correct.
Picked you up and went to the con.
Yes.
So here's an example picture of the con. It was at the Game Center. It had a room dedicated for a really big room. It was great. We can spread out. It was not crowded at all. So. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun playing Lord of the Rings. I'm trying to think. There was so there's a setup to play a couple cycles, but with some epic events in there as well, where everyone would try to play one quest and try to beat it. And they also had challenges. So if you've never been to Con of the Rings, cool thing is they have custom challenges you get there, and it might be like in this quest, you might have to save this guy. Well, guess what? Now he has less health or something. So it just makes it harder. Like, how do I beat the quest like I've done in the past, but now with this weird twist that makes the game more and more challenging to do. So,
or at the end of the quest, instead of just pulling out one like boss, you put out all 3 bosses. Normally, you just draw one and have to deal with it. Maybe this time for the challenge, you put all 3 and have to deal with all 3 of them.
That's right. And so it was particularly fun because we obviously met up with Terrence there, and we had a blast playing. Probably the funniest thing came out of it is the test of will fiasco.
Yes. Oh, that was hilarious the first day.
So there is a card in the game called Test of Will. It is an excellent card.
It's basically a cancel card. It cancels a bad card.
Exactly. A bad card comes out, you can just completely cancel it. Very useful in basically every single game.
Yep.
And I don't always play that card.
Nope. And there's only a certain color that can play it. Normally, Lord of the Rings has 3 or 4 different color groups. Is it 3?
4 colors.
4 colors. And there's only one color group that could potentially play it unless you get other cards out that allow that character to play other colors.
Right.
And so normally when you see a person playing a blue colored, like any color blue person out on the field, you would expect them to have Test of Will. Well, like Steve said, that is not always the case with Steve. And he's built many decks. So like I'm playing one of his decks, he's playing one of his decks, and both have blue. And so they start setting the quest up, and Terrence goes, all right, this would be awesome. So we got how many Tests of Will? And Steve's like, I don't have Test of Will. And he's like, what about Bairnt? And he looks at him like, Well, Bairnt's deck doesn't have test of will. So then Colin would put his, not Colin, but Terrence would take his deck, hit the table, put it back, grab a different deck that has test of will because he will not play the game without somebody having test of will.
Oh, it was hilarious. And to be fair, like Terrence was just completely right. Like having test of will in a 4-player game is very crucial and very helpful,
Yeah.
especially with the harder quest we're playing this one. But it wound up being just a hilarious thing. Like, oh my gosh, you don't have test of will in this deck again. So it
Yep.
was a fun
Poor
joke that
Steve. Poor
happened
Steve.
basically all
Never
the
has
time.
poor Terrence, I should say.
Yeah.
So then I started playing decks that had test of will, like from Colin or Terrence, or even Steve did have one that did, and so Terrence, so a little bit better. And then at least, and the cool thing is all these people, they built so many different decks that you could just kind of pass decks around to each other, and we could try different decks and see how they play and have fun doing it. And then they're passing deck lists to each other and everything about, oh, I want to try that deck sometime on my own. So that's one of the cool things about this con. Is there's so many different ways you can. The sky is the limit, I guess you could say, on how you build decks for this game. So it was really fun to see all that.
Yeah, I think Colin had like 6 or 7 decks, and Terrence had 6 or 7 decks. I think I brought just 3 of them.
Yes.
So we had a ton of decks to pick from between all of us, and it was fun to hey, you try this one, you try that one, and then talk about different tweaks to the game. And Spycom's got the right idea here. So it's brilliant. Normally I play two-handed and often bring 6 sets of wills. So
That's right. That's what you do.
yep.
You and Terrence get along just great.
Yeah, and Snow had a comment here. So many tokens that doesn't look like Lord of the Rings, which is true because we've got a lot of custom tokens and mats and other things over the years. It's just we're all big fans of the game, obviously, because we went to convention for it, but having all these custom tokens is fun. So,
Yes. Very true.
how to build decks? Look at the back of the Saga rulebook. Do what it says. Put the deck in back to put into the deck and play. Yep. Yep.
I don't see what's wrong with that. Sounds like a plan.
It works. It works.
It does.
No, I like
The
making
last,
weird decks.
the last game we played that night, I got to try a deck that was called a Saruman trap deck. It was one of my favorite decks we played. In this deck, so one of the ways you can lose is you gain too much threat, and once your threat gets to a certain number, you lose the game. And every round you're going to gain that, or other effects in the game may make you have threat. Well, this guy named Saruman, he's not the nicest guy on the planet, and he makes everybody, but he's on your team, kind of. He has cards in his deck that make you actually gain this threat, but then his card then does a lot of cool things. And poor Terrence had to deal with me again. Terrence likes to play as optimally as possible. He likes to really show how the game shines, and sometimes I don't. I usually just play things to have fun, and it's not ideal. It's not ideal. And so I'm playing a card that lets you like draw cards from your deck, but it makes you gain some threat. And then I'm like, oh, that'll be great. And then like Terrence, like, but you can ready your guy. Oh, we'll just do it now. We'll do this. But why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? You need to do that. Like, okay, now I'm going to play these 2 cards. They give you four threat, but you're supposed to be able to draw 2 cards. Why would we be drawing cards now? I'm like, oh, it'll be good. You just love it. He couldn't take it. It was just absolutely awesome. It was all because of me, pretty much. Not. And by this time, we were down to like people. Our main characters are dying. I only had Saruman left because I figured he would sacrifice the rest of his forces for himself. And I was still playing these cards, and poor Terrence was over there dying.
Yeah. Yeah, we had some epic games where we had like average of 2 heroes over all 4 of us. Like some people had 1, some people had 2, some people had, I think 1 person had 3 still, but it was pretty crazy to try to beat a quest with very few heroes in play.
Yes.
But yeah, we had a blast playing. I know we came back to the convention, we did a couple games, but I'm going to summarize all the convention talk here.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. So some of the highlights of the con for me were some of the bigger quests we did. We did play a custom the 9-hour abroad scenario.
Yes.
And this was crazy because it was 3 massive groups and our 3 massive games of it, simultaneous games of it. And so how it worked is we were in a group of 7. That meant that each group could have 4 people playing, and there were 7 of those groups. And that was in one game. And the cool thing about this quest is they actually had a map. So you pull out this card, you had a map of Middle Earth, and there were rules to travel between them. And basically, you travel between them, you're trying to investigate locations, and you're trying to find some of the riders. So we had to find 7 riders. But the cool thing about it was, if we found the 4th rider in Rohan, for example, we would go and tell the rest of the groups, or basically tell the announcer on the mic, C-Stand was the guy running it. That hey, this fourth rider was found in Rohan, so everyone else goes in their decks, pulls out the fourth rider, and puts in Rohan. And so while we're playing, someone says, "Hey, we found a third rider in Mirkwood," so we grab the third rider and put in Mirkwood. So all the maps match each other, but it's happening in real time. It's just whenever someone finds one, everyone in that same game grabs and pulls it out. So we had to find 7 riders, and at the end, the next stage of it, we had to defeat all the riders, which was crazy because like, oh, hey, if we both go to this location, if I do 5 damage to the guy, you put 5 damage into the guy too. So it's
Yeah.
very collaborative and cooperative in that sense. I love that aspect of it. It was so much fun.
I agree. I thought it was really fun. It was really neat to have. And there's a card there that would affect every table. And like whenever you pulled that card from the deck, you'd have to scream that the riders are abroad, and then everybody have to deal with that in their own table. Like you'll have to deal with
Yeah.
the repercussions of that card being drawn from that deck anywhere in your world, which is kind of neat. So yeah, it was like this like living world, basically living card game, living world game, where it
Yeah.
was spanning all these tables. We were victorious. Not all the teams were. There was a team that was
Yep.
not victorious. So it
Well,
was
it
really
was tough
pretty
because the Witch King was the last one you found, and his health scaled by the number of players. Since we had so many players, his health was literally like 200 health or something
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it was out of control.
It was insane. So like there was like 2 teams that were just like wailing on him, while the rest of the teams took out the rest of the riders. So then we came back to it. He had like 150 health or something by the time we started convening, and then having all 7 groups start wailing on this guy at the same time and watch his health just like ratchet
Yeah.
down was really fun.
Yeah, you
Really
get like
fun.
an update like every couple minutes, like your group has the guys at 100, and like your group, your guys at 25, and it's like you
Yeah,
just keep going and going, and
yeah, it
it's
was
pretty
awesome.
awesome.
So that was a highlight for me, and then the other one was the last game we played on our
Yes,
own.
this was awesome.
You want to talk about this one?
Oh, the dreadnought R. We it was basically Lord of the Rings versus pirates. It
Yeah,
was fantastic. We were pirating. We were not pirating. We were fighting the pirates. We were on ships with billowed sails, and they would fly around and you'd like use those to combat other pirate ships that come in. And as you dock against one of these pirate ships to try to blow it up, then these people would jump over the rail and you draw these cards from a deck you didn't know what was in there, and they would land in front of you, and you had to deal with these pirates that are coming onto your ship while all the time trying to fight the ship that's coming to. And if your ship blew up, that was it because all your guys are on it. And it was really cool. And then at the end, you had to fight this giant, huge pirate ship called the Dreadnought that sat in the middle of the board. It was a huge card. It was like way big than anything else, and it had health that would scale depending on player count. So it was super cool. Some of the cool things happen in that one is the fact that at this point, Colin had given me what's called a Ent deck, is what he calls it. It's basically all the tree people in the Lord of the Rings, and these things like absolutely smash. They smash. They're like the Hulks of Lord of the Rings. They just walk around and Hulk smash, and they basically were smashing ships. It was out of control, and it was super cool. But we did win that one as well, and it was just. And then at one point, like you had the actual people on the dreadnought jumped out, and if you had no cards in your deck and you drew certain, or in your hand and you drew a certain person, you could have just lost, like you could have lost the game at that point, which was really cool. There was, I think, was there like 6 or 8 different people that could have came out of the dreadnought deck. And on top of that, you had to beat those guys before you could keep pounding on the dreadnought. So it
yeah,
kind of gave the dreadnought a little bit more extra oomph to continue fighting against you. So you couldn't just like one shot the thing. You would have to deal with these guys as well. So it was a really well built scenario. I love the fact we were able to sail the high seas and fight pirates, and it was super cool. That was
it
that,
was.
and another quest called the Find the Orc or something, where you shuffle orcs into every person's deck, a certain amount of cards of a deck, and you have to try to draw these cards from there by questing through different stages of the map in order to find this orc. And then once you defeat him, then you've found the orc, which is kind of cool. That one was another cool quest we did.
For sure.
That's what I got.
Yeah, yeah. The sailing one is really cool because you also pick a ship that has a special power. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really fun to like, ooh, which special powers can be really good with this deck? And then the even better thing about that one I thought was you could actually capture other vessels. And they would
Yes.
join you. So like at one point, Baron had like a fleet of 3 massive naval ships to attack the big pirate ship. It was really
Yeah,
cool.
it's good stuff.
A lot of fun. But yeah, so that was Con of the Rings. It
It
was a
was.
blast.
3 day epic thing. It's like my once a year Lord of the Rings experience.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't play it too much outside of that. Colin and I always say we're going to try to do the saga, but there's always so many games out there that we don't ever get to it. And it's okay because we always have these 3 days where we get to play so much Lord of the Rings and experience it and experience all the cool things that happen in it. That I think probably in about, I would guess in maybe 2 more cons, I would have played almost all the, potentially a lot of the, almost a majority of the cycles. Because every time you're there, they usually go through 1 or 2 cycles of that. You get to see those kind of quests as you play through it.
Mhm. So before this discussion, I thought I was a fan of Lord of the Rings, the card game, but no, I'm just a casual muggle, which I think is the one big issue I have with the
Yeah.
convention.
I agree.
Well, actually, there's 2 issues I would say, and I had provided feedback about this. Is it's not newbie friendly at all.
Mhm.
Like the challenges and the quests they picked, they're difficult. They're really difficult.
Mhm.
And sometimes we do this, like the big massive battle we did.
Yeah.
One game didn't complete it, but they had some new players, and they didn't have a big card pool, and it was a
Mhm.
difficult quest to do with limited cards. So
Yeah.
I kind of hope that next year when they do this, they still have those opportunities for these advanced quests, but also make it newbie friendly. Take a break from this difficult stuff and just have some fun. So
I kind of agree. I mean, like I said, this is usually about my only big Lord of the Rings extravaganza I have. And thanks to these guys having the card pool they have, I get to try out these fun decks that work really well together because all 3 of these people have every card in the game. And so it's really easy to have a deck that's going to be fun and be able to stand up to these. If I were to bring my card pool to Lord of the Rings and try to play, I would have gotten Hulk smashed, is
yeah,
what would have happened.
yeah,
I
sure.
have like one deck that is good, and it's good because I went out and physically bought the card that came, or physically bought the packs that had made that deck good. If I didn't have, and so that's the only deck I have. If I try to make any other deck, I would not have anything optimal to be able to play in that type of environment.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that was a bit negative, but I mean, otherwise it was a lot of fun. The other negative I would say is not due to the convention itself, but the locale, the games center. The food is it's not what it used to be. It's
Yeah,
pretty bad. So
I honestly feel that sadly, that's a unit. I personally feel, at least in Minnesota, that's kind of a universal thing. I wonder if it has to do with just the state of the world in general. Um, a lot of, I mean, even other restaurants we go to don't. They have not really got back to the caliber that they were before. A lot of the things that happened in this world over the last few years,
yeah,
uh, and I think the game center is also part of that. I mean, there's a lot, like you said, a lot more just straight up fried food. There's not a lot of real healthy choices that there used to be. And I wonder if that has to do with just the fact that it's hard to keep those choices going.
yeah, it could be. But yeah, so that was Con of the Rings, and that was a lot of
They had
fun.
coffee though, and they had lemonade.
Yeah, the lemonade was
I
great.
drink a lot of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um, cool. Let's move
Curds.
on. So after the first day, we came back.
Cheese curds. Super good.
What's that?
Cheese curds, super good.
Oh, cheese curds. Yes, cheese curds were good. We came back the first day, and it was the 3 of us. So
Yes, just the 3 of us. Oh, wait, that's different.
Colin, you, and me, right?
Yes, we went to Colin's house after the first night of Lord of the Rings, and we got to his house about, I think we left there, I want to say about 7ish, maybe 8, 7:30 or something, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Or did we go all the way to the end? No, I think we didn't. I think we kind of left a little bit 7, because I came home and I got to say goodnight to my kids, and then I
That's
think
right.
I came over.
And you
And
came
they go to
over,
bed
and
about
then
8.
we wanted playing Kingdom Rush, right?
Yes, after we did play another game of Paint the Roses. This time we introduced it to Monica.
Oh, that's right.
Um,
We did play Paint the Roses again. That's right. Yep.
How could you not forget, Steve? Apparently, after you play Lord of the Rings all day, your mind does not work as well as you're supposed to remember it working. Because all of a sudden we're playing a super need your brain game, and my brain, I think I left on the table at Lord of the Rings because you're supposed to put clues down based on your card. And at one point, I had a card that had, so based on whether you have colors or shapes and colors, you have to put different cubes on to signify how many of the potential of the chip you just played matches the other chips of what you're holding in your hand. So I had like spade and a yellow rose. That means that anytime that they played a chip that had a spade and was connected to a yellow, or a yellow and connected to a spade, I'm supposed to put a little cube on that. So the rest of them are going to try to deduce what I have. And they're all, as we're trying to deduce what the rest of them has. So I put a cube on there. I put 2 cubes on there. Like, oh, well, Bairnt could have this. He might have this. Or he could also have this, but maybe he has this. I'm like, looking at my card thinking, I think I put the wrong one of cubes on. So I went and I grabbed one of the cubes off the card. And they're like, oh, okay. So they made a choice as to what I might have had, and they guessed wrong. So that means that the queen moves double speed and gets closer to killing you. Then the next turn they put one down, and I put like another cube on it because I think I got it. And then they're talking, okay, well, it can't be spade yellow because otherwise you would have put 2 over there. I'm like, So then as they're still deducing, I like slowly take one of my cubes and place it over on the other one that should have had the spade yellow that I missed. It's like they're
You
like,
just
wait,
lost it, like,
it's
because
on there now. Like,
it was like
yeah,
one
that's
cube
supposed
on
to
there,
be zero.
and then it was 2 cubes on there, and then he pulled no, only 1 cube, and then like we guessed wrong. The next round comes around, and he's like, well, it can't be this, and he's like, oh, really? Because there should be another clue on that, I guess. And we just like lost it. It's so funny.
Oh, so then from then on, there's 3 different kind of cards you can take. Hard, which have some more technical matches than the mediums, which have more technical matches than the easy ones. So after I failed that one, I only drew easy cards from then on. I only had to deal with colors from then on. It was just my brain was gone.
It was awesome though. I love that game. It was so fun. We were just keeled over laughing. It was a good time.
And that game is so good that Colin has let me borrow it yet again. To my wife and I are playing it. It's really fun. We enjoy it because you can play it 2-player. There's
Yeah.
there's a little bit you got to change about it, but it is still really fun.
Yeah, works great too. Not soloable, so there's no way to play this game solo.
No, it's impossible.
So, okay, but yes, we played that one, and then we moved on to Kingdom Rush. So
Yes.
this was a game I've not played. I've always wanted to play it. So we played. There was the 3 of us: Bairnt, myself, and Colin, and we got destroyed. It was.
You want to talk again about how you should not bring a like epic level game to somebody who's been playing Lord of the Rings or any other game for the last 10 hours. And now all of a sudden your brain is in super fry mode and you're trying to figure out the most optimal solution to the problem in front of you. And all you
Right.
can think of is apple, orange, or chase cards.
Cheese curds, right?
So yes, we got destroyed, but at least you got the gist of the game.
Yeah, totally got just a game. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was. I don't normally like. So polynomial games, I kind of in a weird state with them because I don't like. They don't do anything for me, but I don't dislike them either. They're just kind of like just there. And so
I
I
am
don't
in the
really
same
go
boat
out and
you are
buy
on that.
polynomial games because they normally it's not a draw for me. It's not a deterrent, but it's not a draw either. So this one has a really cool theme. I like tower defense a lot, so I want to try it. It was cool. I like the game. I don't think it's one I'm gonna pick up,
Mhm.
but I would definitely play this one again. And I'd also like
Yes.
to play it on an easier level when my brain's not fried to try it out. Try it out because we were all spent that day from everything we did.
Yes, it was. And of course, it was later in the day too. We'd been up for a while, and
Yeah.
this was the last game we played. I'm in the same boat you are. I'm not a castle defense person. I'm not a big fan of tower defense, which is one of the reasons I never went with the Great Wall or something from Awakened Realms. The only Awakened Realms game I don't have,
Mhm.
because I'm not much of a tower defense person. But this game I truly do enjoy when I play it. Every time Colin puts it out there, we have a lot of fun playing it. It's not. And it has a neat little campaign system if you're interested in playing through that as well.
Yeah.
But yes, this game is fun. I enjoy it. But I like you. I'm glad Colin has it because I don't ever have to pick it up, and I can always borrow it whenever I want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, so we did Kingdom Rush, and then we the next day we went back to the con where we talked with the con.
Yep.
And then after that day of the con, we came back and we played. Oh,
Well,
I know
the
what we
first
played.
game at the con that day was my super maneuver that nobody saw coming except Terrence.
The Super Maneuver?
So the Vikings played on Steve's remembering. The Vikings played at 8:30 in the morning in London on that Sunday. And so I watched the first quarter and a half of football in at home and then driving to the con. And then when we got to the con, we got there and we got into the con, we sat down and we're going to play our first quest. And poor Colin goes, you should try this deck. I think you'll really like it. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. And I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? I think I want to play the one that Steve had yesterday that I played like 3 times. It was what's called his Gandalf deck, where it's just got Gandalf. He does things. super kind of straightforward. Is the first one I played because I'm not an expert at this game. So it's a really straightforward deck on how you play things. It worked really well. And so I was playing this deck and having a really good time, and we're doing great in the quest. Little did they know, because I'm deaf in my left ear, I have a hearing aid, and my hearing aid is actually Bluetooth to my phone. And so I actually put on the game on my phone, which is right here. And I listened to the game, and every once in a while, when there's a big play or something, I'd flip my phone back over and kind of look at it and kind of stand, and I could like rewind it 15 seconds to kind of see the big play, and I put it back down again and keep on listening to it while we're playing the game. So I could hear them kind of and what's going on. And so here I was just kind of playing cards out there, and yeah, there's like different stages of the game. Well, this guy always does the same thing on one of the phases of the game, so I didn't have to worry about that phase at all. It was perfect. And so here I am listening to the game, and finally it kind of got to the end of the game, and I was like kind of looking at it a little bit, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh. And I told Colin, like, dude, you've got to see the end of this game. He goes, what? I go, the end of the game, it just finished. He's like, have you been listening to it the whole time? Like, of course I have. And all of a sudden you hear Terrence go, of course he has, man. How'd you not figure that out? He's been listening to the game the whole time in his head. And Colin thought that was just epic. They're like, that is because, of course, Terrence was the biggest fan of me not really paying attention.
Oh, that's hilarious. I was curious, like, man, he's looking at his phone at the right times. How's he doing this? No, that makes sense. Makes perfect sense.
So yes, I was. It's one of the beauties of being half deaf. I can actually listen to anything I want at any time in my head, which is pretty sweet.
Yes, that was fun.
I don't ever do it at home because I always have to make sure I can listen to my family.
Yeah, that was great. But yeah, we're at the convention.
Oh, yes, then the convention's over, and then at this point, Terrence is no longer at that hotel. He only had to stay up till Saturday night and then Sunday afternoon, and so he came back with us to Colin's house to spend the night before he was going to go off back. Everybody left on Monday. But go ahead, Steve. What do we do Sunday?
Robin's calling you out. Lies. He does it at home too. Nice. But yeah, we went over to Colin's house. Colin's wife made delicious lasagna, had a great dinner. And then after dinner, we sat down to play a game, and we wound up playing The Crew. Mission Deep Sea. This is the second version of The Crew. And it's the first time I played this version of it. I played the original one quite a few times in the past. I actually really like the new version a lot.
Yeah.
I liked it better than the original. It's not wildly different, but I like the mission combination. We had a blast playing this one. And I gotta say one thing. Bairnt is amazing at this game. like he's like, well, I was like, well, guys, who's gonna take these missions? And like Bairnt's like, I'll take them all. I'm like, really? And he like can totally like pull it off. I'm like, I struggle with trick taking games.
Steve, everybody saw, like, actually were laughing at me because they have never seen me so serious in my entire life. When I play trick taking games, it's like I'm all in. I'm never like, I'm not as goofy. I'm not as fun. I shouldn't say fun, but I'm not like as like joking around with people and stuff as I'm playing. Like, I am focused on this. And I've always been that way. We used to play Pinochle and stuff with my grandparents growing up, and Spades and 500 and all these different games we used to play growing up. And so The Crew is just yet again another trick taking game, and I own this game as well. We actually really like this game at home because it's a cooperative trick taking game. I bring this to family events sometimes, and we've played it a few times. And everybody really enjoys it, so it's really good. So yeah, like Robin says, I'm a great partner to have in 500 and Pinochle. I'm also the person that will do everything in his power to win. It's also where my competitive edge comes out, which is why I'm glad I play a lot of cooperative games now, because I am super competitive when it comes to these. So yes, these people saw me in a mode I've never, like Colin and Monica were just laughing. They're like, I've never seen him so, like, is this even Bairnt?
It's like, wow, he's like super laser focused and like nailing these cards.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just like getting ready to play my next card. I'm just like thinking of all the possibilities these other people have and what they're going to play, and I'm wondering how they're going to screw up my plan. And it's it's pretty amazing. So yeah, even at one point I was like, I could probably do that. I go, can you do that? It's like, I probably could. No, I need that card. Give me that one. I will take that mission. I can do that mission. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun playing with you. So
yes,
yeah, this is one that I definitely recommend picking up. It's great.
Yes.
I found that I don't really play. I never played trick taking games much. When I saw a playthrough for this, yeah, I feel like it's a different mental process going on with it. Like, I have to. I struggle. Like I feel like this is a game that you can get a lot of skill involved. Like Baron's got a lot of experience in it. Myself, I've played trick take games in the past, but like this is another level to like how do I figure out to get the mission completed by playing different cards in different ways. It's really fun. I like it a lot.
It is. Terrence also hadn't played many trick-taking games, so it was kind of interesting to see the different levels of, and even with all those different levels, everybody was still having fun, which was
Oh yeah,
really cool.
definitely.
There was only one part where all of a sudden you played a like it was something like you have to win a trick with a 7 or something, and all of a sudden you played a 7, and all of a sudden Monica goes, "Wait a minute, Terrence has to take a trick with a 7. I have 3 7s in my hand, and you just played the last 7." So I mean, Terrence doesn't have a 7. There's no way he can take a trick with a 7. He's
Right.
like, "Oh, I thought you meant you had to take a trick with a 7 in it." It's like, "Oh, okay, yep, we can totally see how that could like some of the
Yeah, yeah,
cards you have to having played it enough, you would be able to interpret them the way. But if you've never played these kind of games, you could have some weird interpretations."
for sure, for sure.
Yes,
Yeah, so we played that one, and then
yes,
with Terrence there, we had to play Marvel Champions, of course, right?
yes,
So we played a
yes.
four-player game, Marvel Champions, taking on Sinister Six. So this is a mode in the Sinister Motives box,
Mm-hmm.
and let's see, you were playing
Gamora.
Gamora. Yep, we played Gamora. I played She-Hulk. Colin played Spectrum, and Terrence played Spider.
Yes, yes, he
Um,
did.
there's different decks, and we took down the Sinister Six. I actually my first time playing the Sinister Six, and I actually really enjoyed how they worked.
Yes,
I feel like some of the other modes where they have multiple villains aren't always the greatest, but this one was really fun.
agreed. I
And
thought this
actually,
was
I
really
liked
fun.
it better than the normal villain mode because, like, one of my things about Marvel Champions, I like playing Blitz where I only play one stage because sometimes flipping the guy over or flipping the next stage, it works totally fine mechanically. It's an expectation thing and the length of play thing. But this one
Mm.
is interesting because you take out all the different Sinister Six, and they come back and play. But it was a goal of trying to take out certain ones to avoid certain negative effects. It was good. I enjoyed this one.
Yes, I thought the scenario was fantastic. Colin and I are going to be playing a one of the campaign boxes coming pretty soon because I'm still not sold on this game, but he is picking up some of the stuff now to try to reinvigorate his love of or try to reinvigorate his love of Marvel Champions after making it his number one game. I think 3 or 4 years ago. He rated it his. I still keep telling him to this day. Remember, this was your number one game, best game of 2020 or 19 or something. And
Right.
we kind of laughed about that because he, after a little while, he did get rid of this collection. He was not a big fan of it. But after playing with Terrence and you and Colin, he's kind of got himself back into it. And it's sad because I really should love this game because I'm a huge Marvel fan. I mean, all the way back from the con, we on Sunday night, Steve and I and Terrence were kind of talking about how you could construct awesome like things in this universe. Like, oh, we could do like Secret Wars. Oh, we could do like, oh, I can hardly wait for the X-Men stuff. Oh, we could do this thing. Oh, it'd be kind of nice to have Master Mold and all that. Like we're chit chatting about all the comic stuff we know, and it was, and so I should really love this game, but it's just really so far it's a hard game for me to get into. I just don't. There's not enough going. It's really weird to say this. There's not enough going on, or I don't. Or there's too much going on that just I don't keep the attention of it.
Yeah,
Is
there's
my
a
problem.
lot. There can be a lot of downtime. I think what it comes down to because like there's a lot you
It's
do on
very
your
character
turn, and
dependent.
there's not a lot you can do in other players. Well,
Yeah.
there's things you can do, but I get what you're saying. Yeah,
Especially with 4. That's why Colin says we
yeah,
should try this at 2 and really go for it and see what and give it like a big like gung ho and see what you think. Because right now it really just felt again, I've always kind of thought all you're doing is you're playing your cards. And I think I also lose the thrill of like playing a game like Lord of the Rings or Arkham, where it's like, okay, I got to draw a card, hope it's the one. Yeah, it's that one. Well, in Lord of the Rings, in this game, you get a whole hand every time, so it's not like it's not like that. You're not like you're getting that super top deck like feeling sometimes.
right, right.
Which I don't think you get in this game either, which is kind of sad. And also sometimes I feel like I'm just kind of going through the motions. Okay, it's like, all right, well, I'm playing boom, 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 boom. All right, I'm doing 5 thwart and 3 damage, and then I'm doing an extra thwart and 3 damage. And where do you want me to do that?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then I've
sure,
just had the person in running the game put it where he thinks he should put it.
sure,
I
sure.
don't really have much to say. I mean, I do like it's like, no, I want to hit that. I'm like, just put it wherever you want. I don't really care. And that's not how I should feel. I should like feel like, oh, I really want to get that person, or I want to do this, like, and I just don't have that yet.
That's fair. Yeah, Kenji's here. He says he loves Champions, MC Marvel Champions, and Marvel United. So yeah, there's a lot, so many Marvel games out nowadays, which is great, and there's a lot of really good ones too.
Yes.
So because I call it the three pillars. I've got Champions, United, and Legendary. So I love them all, and for different reasons.
I've
Um,
got United, Legendary, and Crisis Protocol.
Crisis Protocol, that's another good one. Yep, yep, for sure.
Yes.
But yeah, that was a late game. We did win that one, but that
I
was
left actually 3/4 way through it.
that's
It was
right.
game one, and I said that and my house, since it was going to be Monday the next day, I had to get my kids on the bus and things like that. So it was going to be an early rise for me. So I kind of
Yeah,
I'm
for
gonna let
sure.
you guys finish this one, and they finished it up. I think you guys went to bed at like 1:30. I was like, oh, glad I didn't stay.
Yeah, but the next day we no convention, so both Terrence and I had late flights, so we decided to play more games. Of course, why not? So
Game.
we played the video game, the board game
Yes,
for
we did. We
Monday.
had video game board game day.
It was. So we started off on the left side playing XCOM. This was with the expansion. I've never played the expansion before, but we all being Terrence, Bairnt, Colin, and I really like XCOM. I don't know something about the game. It's just a
Oh yeah, it's
fun
super
game.
fun. I
Super
can't get
fun.
enough of this game. I play it all the time.
Yeah.
Anytime Play puts it on there, I'll play it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know something about the game is it's really enjoyable. I always like playing the scientists too because I like giving presents to people. So here you get a present, you get another present. So,
That's pretty.
but
I
you
never cared
played
who I am.
the
I don't mind.
yeah you played the military officer, I
Correct.
think.
I was in charge of I was the win loss condition pretty much of the entire game, which is always a hard burden to share
Yeah,
or have when you we put Colin was in charge of the money and Terrence was in charge of satellites
yeah,
and UFO
in
defense.
the app. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the
we
end,
played. Well, we played with the expansion, and the expansion makes the game a lot harder, in my opinion.
I think so too. A lot harder.
Yeah, it was very difficult because instead of rolling a D8, you roll a D6, and you have to like you want to roll high, so already you're rolling lower than that, and there's other stuff in there. The cool thing was you can build dreadnoughts or giant mech suits, maybe what they're called.
Yes, yes, you can build giant mech suit dudes. Yes.
Um,
So, and they have like when you go to do missions or protect the base, when you're trying to kill certain enemies or complete the missions, you have to have certain symbols on your guys to be able to roll against those certain objectives. And that particular unit has every one of them on it. So it's like it's a very universal unit. So that's kind of the bonus you get for having it. But there's a lot more detriments coming to you in the expansion. There's things that make you roll, like you said, the D6.
right,
They add more hazard cards as the base takes damage. So it's like there's a lot of other things that are happening to you.
for sure.
I mean, it is balanced. I'm sure it's balanced. I mean, it's not unbalanced. But yes, I feel it makes it more challenging. We were not victorious.
It was pretty bad. It's like there's no way you can win this one. It was
I think the downfall was the point where Colin, you have to take these cards into a deck that Colin's picked two and put one in there, and they're all bad.
yeah,
And so of the two, he kept putting in, if you don't complete the mission, bad thing happens. Don't complete the mission, bad things happen. And there was only one piece of mission left that I had to complete. And of course, I didn't complete it.
right.
And
Yeah,
then lots of bad happened.
yeah, that was tough. I think I prefer the game without the expansion, honestly. But the expansion was fun. I'll play with the expansion still. So
I'll play anyway. It's always fun to play.
yeah. So yeah, we played that one to start the morning, and then after that we moved to the right side of the table. You see on the screen there to play Skyrim, the adventure game.
This was awesome. You're doing a live stream of this soon, aren't you?
Later tonight, actually. Yes.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Be interested to see what happens. This game is sweet. I like it.
Yeah, you gonna talk? Go ahead and talk about it.
Oh, God. I talk a lot, Steve. I thought maybe you might want to talk about something.
Okay.
No?
Yeah. So
Okay.
this game is based upon the video game, of course, and it is a open world adventure game. Honestly, is what it is. And you build your own character. You move around this giant map. You can literally do whatever you want, but you have an overall quest to do. And we played the first campaign, first chapter, first campaign. We actually completed the first chapter.
Yeah.
Because actually, the nice thing about this game is the campaign isn't very long. It takes about 90 minutes to do a chapter, and there's 3 chapters in a campaign. So in like 3 sittings of 90 minutes, you can finish the game. Sorry, can't cheese. They made me buy it. For whatever reason, like I wasn't too hot on this game when I played it on Tabletop Simulator when I was previewing it.
Mhm.
But once I got the copy, started playing through it, like it started clicking for me. And I think part of it is a little bit of a comparative bias because I was comparing those games to games like SF Guard and Iridia, which are absolutely fantastic. To be brutally honest, I don't think this game is stands up with those other ones. But looking at what it does on its own, it does things really well. Like the quest system is fantastic in this game. Like because you can have a world quest, you can have a personal quest, and you try and manage those things. And basically, I've played this game 7 or so times at this point, starting over from scratch, and I've only seen one quest repeated. So I will of course run into multiple quests,
Yeah.
repeat quests. But long story short, there's a ton of variability in this game, variety in this game, and quests to do, which is really fun. Um, and yeah, so you level up your character, do different skills, go on dungeon crawls. It's really cool.
And it's fast.
It
It's
is
a
fast.
fast game, and that's what I think is awesome about this. I have played Skyrim. I have not beat Skyrim. I have a love-hate relationship with the entire was it Morrowind type game setting. I never am able to get them done because, like Steve says, there's so much to do, and it's very similar to this game. There's always so much to do that you're always able to try to do something at all the times, which is really cool. I've never experienced a downturn in that game, which was awesome. There's never like oh, hey, my friend's doing this, what am I gonna do? I guess there's nothing really for me to do, because there's always something popping up in this game to do, which is really cool. The Elder Scrolls, yes, thank you, Snow. That was the other one. Morrowind, Elder Scrolls settings, all that. I have a hard time winning these games. So I never beat Skyrim. I've never beaten Oblivion. I've never beat Morrowind 3. I've never beat any of these games. I've never beat any of the Elder Scrolls stuff. And hopefully I'll be able to beat this because I did back it. So I'm hoping to play it. Thank you, Steve, for bringing it, so I was able to see it. It's super fun. Some of the highlights in it was I was able to do the Dark Brotherhood quest. It popped up for me as a personal quest, and it's like, oh, hey, do you want to try this quest? I was like, oh my gosh, join the Dark Brotherhood. And those that have played the game, it like came to me like, oh, the Dark Brotherhood. This is like an actual group of the game. I'm going to join them. This is going to be amazing. I've never been with the Dark Brotherhood, the game, because whenever I'm playing, I don't ever go with that group because I'm always trying to be a good guy. And I was like, I'm going to be the bad guy. And so at the end of that quest, I had to do something that actually kind of affected the whole board state at that point. And then, and so as you're going each turn, you have to be putting down these tokens that are potentially like corrupting the world. And you're doing quests and things to try to help remove these things from the game. And so I actually had to corrupt part of the world after completing this whole quest line, which was really a neat experience. So we did get all the way through the first campaign mission, and when I play it, that campaign mission will still be there, but I'm sure when I play it again, I'm going to have a completely new experience with all those massive amounts of personal quests and side quests and stuff that could come out. And I do like the fact that as you're playing it, it doesn't take you more than maybe one, if maximum two turns to get about anywhere on the board.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, I have to get all the way to that side of the board. Okay, well, I'll get there maybe in 3 or 4 turns to work on that quest. So I guess I can do some side quests along the way. No, you can, if you really want to just do your main quest, you can do that. But if you don't do some of the side quests and the actual other parts of this game and experience them, like going into the dungeons and things like this, which aren't like a dungeon crawl. You don't go to like a separate board or something. You just fight a couple of enemies, and then that's usually your dungeon crawl then. And you're gaining experience. And if you don't do that, trying to complete these quests are going to become harder and harder to almost the point where you can't make it. But this does have a fail forward system. So if you don't make it, it usually means you're corrupting more of the board and you're not gaining the benefits of completing those quests. So it's not that you lose if you don't complete a quest, which I think is also cool.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool things, Steve. Great game. I'm excited for this one. This one, you reinvigorated me. Steve did show it to me on Tabletop Simulator first, and I was kind of in the same boat he is. I'm like, I don't really see how this can be that great. And then
Yeah.
seeing it in action, it's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I had the same experience. Like on Tabletop Simulator, it just wasn't. It was kind of It was
You
kind of
kind of wonder if
fine.
it was limited by how much they were able to show off. And now that you have the whole product in front of you, you're seeing the epic scale that this game can have
Right.
and what it can bring. And
I
I think seeing that with all the different upgrades, all the different weapons, all the different like everything, and all the different character combinations and what you can be, just like in Skyrim, you can be any class you want and do anything you want. You could build a character that's supposed to be good at destruction spells. You can have a two-handed weapon running around and just beat things. Hulk
exactly.
smash.
Yep. Totally. Kenji's got an interesting question here. Do you feel that this game is expandable and Modifius will do expansions for it? First part of it, absolutely expandable. I would
Yeah.
actually love to see more equipment in there of various kinds because I think they could do a lot more with that. Will they do expansions for it? I don't know. I do plan to ask them about that at some point, but I know right now they're kind of working on a new game coming out. So Terrence, hey, Terrence is here. The game was a lot more fun than I expected, but I wish there was more co-op. Yes, that is definitely one of my
Yep.
negatives for this. You can
And the only time you can
cooperate
really
in the
co-op
dun.
with people is in working together through dungeons
Yeah,
and taking on like some of the more harder enemies. Doing the quests is a very personal thing, and
right.
that's just kind of how it is in the game. If I'm playing it and the game you can't do this in, which would be super cool, is if my friend could join me in the game. But if he didn't have that quest, he really wasn't going to be able to do it with me anyway. Like I have to go in like to this person's house and steal something, and they might not be able to get into the house because they don't have the quest. So I mean, I can understand why they did it that way, but it would be super cool if you could help them anyway. Like, oh, I'll distract them while you're able to sneak in there or something. But that'd be a super hard. I think it'd be a huge another layer to try to throw into a game like this.
Yeah, it's a great, absolutely great solo game for sure. I have already an idea for a house rule to make that work. So because
Of course you do.
because
Of course you
of
do.
course I have house rules, right? But yeah, so anyway, if you're curious about this game, we're gonna play it tonight on the stream, Kim and I, and we're gonna do the free roam mode where it's not the main campaign. So if you worry about campaign spoilers, you won't see any of that. You'll see some quest spoilers, but there's a huge variety of quests. So,
Yeah.
but that's the least spoiler option to do, and it's just gonna be Kim and I playing for a bit, and then we'll just put it away whenever we decide to. Because the free roam you can potentially play forever, which is kind of cool, which is very Skyrim-ish.
Yep.
But I've got an idea of what goal we should aim for tonight before we wrap it up. So, but yeah, that was basically the trip. We played tons of games, had a lot of fun. I loved going to Con the Rings because it's fun meeting up with Bairnt and Colin and just catching up on things and Terrence as well being there, seeing the crazy decks we do. It's so much fun.
I wish that you and Terrence could come like almost every other month. I think that'd be
Yeah, we
I
had
have
a lot
so
of fun.
much fun doing stuff with both you guys together. It's so much fun. Even I've had fun doing stuff with just you. I have fun with doing stuff with just Terrence. It's just super
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Last time we did Con of the Rings, I had a really cool experience taking Terrence and I went out to dinner because you guys had already left the con and I went and picked him up and he hadn't eaten. So we went out to dinner together. We just chatted for a long time. It was super cool. We talked a lot of Lord of the Rings. And it's just awesome to hang out with you guys together and separately. It's super fun to see you guys. It's
Absolutely.
so much fun.
Yes, no, that's the other thing I'm curious about is I really hope I get to try the Chip Theory games. They're coming out with the Elder Scrolls Online
Oh
board
yeah.
game. So I'm really curious how that will compare to the Skyrim adventure game because obviously they're
Yeah.
in a similar IP. So we'll see.
We shall see.
Cool. Well, that's going to wrap up our co-op chat for this morning. And we'll thank everyone who joined. And hopefully this was fun because we had a blast. And if any point you guys do go to Con of the Rings, hit us up because we go fairly regularly. I think we only missed 1 year.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was always fun to do conventions and meeting up with people like that. So cool. What do you have coming up on your channel, Barrett?
Steve asks me this all the time, and I never know. I do know for a fact that Monday, October 10th, feel free to please join me and Colin as we play through Oathsworn Mission 6. We are starting that at somewhere between 9 and 10 a.m., and we're going until we're done with that mission. Both of us have the day off, so we are going to sit and play that game all morning into the afternoon as well. We're going to do the story part, maybe break for lunch, and then do the fight. So if you're interested in seeing that, that's awesome. I apparently it has become like national like game month. It's coming up to Christmas, so I don't know about the rest of you, but I seem to get a lot more games shipped to me during that time. So I already have 2 games coming to me. I don't know when or how what I'm gonna do with them. One is that Gazellia game or something. It's a kind of a adventure game. I don't remember. I'm totally pronouncing it wrong. And I have what's the other one coming? Final Girl season 1 is being shipped. I went for the 2-wave shipping, so that's going to be coming as well. Don't know when, but I got the shipping notices that they're in theory coming soon. Other than that, I don't know what I'm going to do. We'll see. I'm going to do a painting session. I think Liquitter Gaming is going to join me on a painting stream coming up this week. We're going to talk about basing and what are different things you can do to make your guys' bases look really cool as opposed to just painting them black.
Cool.
We're going to do
Nice.
that. Game wise, maybe I'll have my Patreons decide what we play this week.
Sounds good. Yeah, like I said, we've got Skyrim later today, and then next week, Monday we'll be getting back to Pandemic Legacy Season Zero, continuing through that campaign. Wednesday we will do the Marvel United crossover campaign because Kanji will be playing his part of the campaign on Tuesday, so we continue through that one. So that's been an awesome campaign. Um, and then I know Friday will be Marvel Champions with Peter and Terrence to get into that one as well. And I might do another game, a bonus game next week. I haven't decided yet.
Ooh,
It's going
bonus.
to depend on if people want to see more Skyrim or different parts of Skyrim. We might do that one again. And I also have some Marvel Legendary content I have to get out there as well. So
Now we have is next week the super co-op chat we have coming?
yes, we do have a super co-op chat because we're doing an interview with I forget.
Oh, I bet Kanji will tell us.
Happy son. Yeah, we're doing an interview, and I forget. I apologize. I forget the publisher that's gonna be on with us, so we should chat about some upcoming games. So
But I'm super excited because he is a publisher of a game that I was really interested in that I didn't actually get a chance to back. I think there's a lot of other things that came out at the same time, and I missed it. Or maybe Colin backed it. I don't know. I'll have to check with him. But after the conversation, I'm sure it'll be probably an auto back for me if neither of us did it. That would be pretty sweet.
so
Sorry,
cool.
we don't remember the name. I'm a terrible person.
Yeah,
Maybe I could.
I was not prepared. I forget. It's in my notes, but I don't have my notes pulled up right
Hey,
now.
I might
So
be prepared. Hold on, see if
oh, there
I
you
might have
go.
a. Let's see here. If I can figure
Silver
out how to work.
Coin Age of Monsters.
It's called what?
Silver Coin Age of Monsters is what we're covering. So
Silver Coin Age of Monsters. Oh, wait, you said that.
yes, yes.
Good work. Yes, that was the one I was looking at. Oh, it looks really cool. It's got the miniatures that look really neat. And I didn't do that one.
Yeah, miniatures look awesome. Yeah, I don't know anything about it either, Snow. I got do some research before the interview next week, but I'm excited to find out more about it. So it should be good.
I'm not going to research it. I'm going to show up and just smile a lot.
Sounds compared. Excellent. Well, that's going to end it for today. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see you at the next stop.
Thank you all. It's fun to see everybody here. Thank you so much for joining.
Bye bye.